Enhancing accessibility universal design features in our museums. Handrails in the bathrooms. Bathroom rails provide support to individuals with mobility impairment, allowing them to enter the restrooms with ease. Benefits. They are there to prevent falls and fatalities. It provides stability while a person is on the toilet or using the sink. ADA guidelines. Grab bars are installed between 33 and 36 inches above the floor as per ADA guidelines, so they can be accessed by all. Accessibility impact. This is an option that improves the accessibility of the restrooms for individuals with disabilities, promoting independence and safety in the bathrooms. Opener buttons and voice control systems. Descriptions and benefits. An automatic door opener allows individuals to open doors without having to pull or push, which is especially helpful for individuals with limited strength. Description and benefits. Voice-operated systems provide hands-free operation, which is easy for the disabled to operate when visiting museums. This system allows all text-to-speech readings. This provides information and enhances the experience of individuals. ADA standards. ADA requires operable parts of doors to be accessible and usable by individuals with disabilities to enable them to enter and exit facilities with ease. Accessibility impact. These tools further the overall accessibility of museums, allowing for a more universal experience for all visitors. HAAT mobile and wheelchair in snow case. So, what is HAAT model? I'm sorry, not mobile, model. The HAAT model stands for Human Activity Assistive Technology and Context. It helps us understand how a person interacts with a device to do a task in a specific environment. So in this case, the human is the individual using the assistive technology. Again, in this case, someone who's using a wheelchair. The activity is where they're going. So in this case, the museum, and assistive technology is the tool that helps them. So a manual or electrical wheelchair in this case. But in this case, it's a manual. The environmental or setting. The environment or setting, which is the sidewalk, weather, transportation options. So the wheelchair in the snow case reflection. In the image, a wheelchair user is outside in snowy conditions. The context is a big barrier. The snow makes movement difficult and potentially dangerous. Their wheelchair may get stuck or be hard to push. The activity getting to the museum is interrupted. The person may get frustrated or exhausted. So to fix this, we could include better snow removal, assistable transport, more clearer pathways, so like more ramps, or maybe offering of virtual museum access to increase inclusion. Origins of the wheelchair. Though it's unknown what the first wheelchair was, stone carvings in ancient China and Greece indicate that wheelchair-like furniture existed as early as the 6th century AD. One well-documented early one was constructed in 1595 for King Phil II of Spain, who suffered from extreme gout. It featured plush cushions, arm and leg rest, and 4 tiny wheels, and he had to be pushed by a servant. The very first self-propelled propelled wheelchair was invented in 1655 by a German man named Stefan Farfeller. He was a watchmaker who became paralyzed from the waist down after had been broken his back as a child. Instead of having someone assist him, he used his skills to develop a mobility aid for himself. Farfeller's creation was more like a three-wheeled hand-cranked bicycle than that contemporary wheelchairs. It was made of metal and wood, and it allowed him to move about independently using handles joined to the front wheels. It was not something that was produced by institution like a hospital or the state. There was no law or health policy that precipitated its invention. It was the result of a a desire to get around independently. Subsequently, especially after World War I and II, when hundreds of thousands of veterans returned home injured, wheelchairs were very, useful at that time. And big manufacturers and governments started to pay more attention once these started to occur. Evolution of the wheelchair then and now. Wheelchair technology has evolved greatly in the past century, and here's a summary of that history. It began with Stefan Farfeller's wooden self-propelled chair in 1655. In the 70s, bath chairs were popular in England. These were push chairs mostly used by individuals that need older individuals that wanted to get around the spas, or ill individuals as well. Herbert Everest and Harry Jennings, U.S. inventors, created the first steel foldable wheelchair in 1930. It was an important invention because it gave wheelchairs the portability, like able to move around more, and a mass production. There were victims of a mining accident, and that's where they got the idea from. Jennings just joined their engineering skills. This model became the base for most main wheelchairs for the next 50 years. In 1970, they introduced sport wheelchairs, and in 1984, Dan Everts introduced us to the power and motorized wheelchair. Now there are so many more wheelchairs with greater advancements like GPS, and some that could even go off-roading. And here is a comparison of the two different wheelchairs. We could really see how these wheelchairs have evolved over time, and how the material and everything has evolved. Access, funding, and legal protection. So the first step is to get a wheelchair is to go to your doctor, usually your primary doctor or a specialist who can assess you, that you can have like a medical diagnosis. You'll then be referred to a physical therapist or an occupational therapist who will conduct a thorough mobility test. They'll test your strength, your balance, your posture, and mobility. Then they'll also measure you so that the wheelchair will fit just right for you. Once the therapist finishes the report, a prescription is faxed to an insurance-covered durable medical equipment supply, or DME, provider who helps fit you for your wheelchair. Some of these options that can help pay for your wheelchair is either Medicare, Medicaid, or your private insurance. I know Medicare, what I've looked up, covers 80% of the cost if the device is medically necessary. And Medicaid pays more, but it varies by state. And then private insurances charge with the but you have to provide physical evidence or a referral or some sort of documentation that you actually need it. There are foundations that help with this, like the IATP. They offer short-term loans of wheelchairs and devices. These programs, you can just call to get information. I have provided the number on top. If you live in Illinois, the number is 100-852-5110. And there's other people that use like GoFundMe's, where they start and they tell people what they're going through and people donate to them. There's also laws in place, like the Americans with Disabilities Act, and this guarantees public buildings and services are wheelchair accessible. There's the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Section 504. And these laws make sure that people aren't denied access to mobility devices, and that they can live independently with their disability. And then, my apologies, wrong slide. So for the employee number 1, they have weak grip, and they have to be scanning tickets. So for this, the scan museum exhibit entry tickets, whether that's physical or digital, on opening day, and that is employee number 1's task. So their disability is limited upper extremity movement and weak grip. So some other barriers with these disabilities is cannot hold, lift, standard handheld scanners, difficulty gripping or pressing scan button. Some accommodations that we can make for them is have a mounted hands-free scanner that's also an automatic scanner, and we could have an adjustable workstation for them to feel comfortable. So this promotes independence and makes them feel more independent and included. So employee case study number 2, low vision. And employee number 2 is working on the 3rd day of museum, and the employee has the responsibility of scanning physical and electric tickets. The ticket scanner is not working, and the museum has switched to paper tickets only. Employee 2 is low vision and now has to read and verify paper tickets manually in order to do their job. So some other barriers is poor ticket quality, so they could have small printing on it, making it hard to see, poor lighting, and it could consume a lot of time. So some accommodations we could do is give them a magnifying glass to be able to see better, give them a task light, and also print tickets with bolder font and also bolder coloring so that they're able to see better. And these strategies allow the employee to read tickets accurately and independently. This provides a workflow without the scanner and offers accessible customer service even if technology is not working at the moment. So inclusivity, I believe that museums should be accessible to all, including disabled individuals. It is a question of fairness because everyone should have the opportunity to enjoy art and history. If museums are not open and accessible to everyone, some individuals are deprived of wonderful experiences. It would not be right. Furthermore, an inclusive museum enhances the experience of all visitors and makes it more diverse and welcoming for everyone. These are just the references that I used to find this awesome information for my presentation. It was really interesting to see it all. And that's it.